from Citizen TV, this is JKL with Jeff Koinange.
And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's all about Nairobi County and the 40-year-old governor who seems to be a man under siege from every direction. 2.5 years into his stint, will he be what people call part of the curse of the Nairobi County governor? Each governor since the Constitution has served only one term. Is he going to be that one again? The title we're calling it Nairobi, What is Going On? Sakaja Johnson, governor, is my guest tonight. It's going to be a great show. Ayub?
What's going on in the city?
Yeah, what's going on? It's all crumbling.
In the city.
Ausio. Start tweeting. Koinange Jeff.
At Ayub Abdikadir.
Citizen TV, can you the hashtag? JKLive. JKLive begins right now.
The Security Council, once a beacon of peace and diplomacy, now has one permanent member invading one country.
Turning to China, President William Ruto secures 100 billion shillings worth of Chinese investments with offers of favorable tax terms.
Nilikuwa nimeamshwa na harufu ya petroli. Lakini kufika nilipata moto bado haikuwa imeenea sana, nikapiga nduru lakini watu hawakutokea.
Death and vengeance. A family of 9 wiped out in a suspected arson attack as villagers burned the house of the suspect in retaliation.
Wakapeana mwanao wa kwanza kiume kama msaada kwa kanisa hiyo. Bado tulikuwa tunatafuta polepole sababu hatujaona kaburi chake na hatujaona dalili yoyote ya kuonyesha kwamba alikufa.
Defiant worshippers of Rongo. 57 faithful rescued from a cult-like church in Rongo refused to return home after church was closed. A tale of budgeting for salaries and perks. We tell you how salaries and allowances gobble up billions in counties as development suffers.
Yoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. 7 Chinese companies have signed investment agreements totaling 107 billion Kenya shillings across various sectors of the country's economy. The deals were signed on Wednesday during a Kenya-China business forum held in the Chinese capital, Beijing, and witnessed by President William Ruto. The investments span key sectors including manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, and transport technology. Melita Oletenges begins our broadcast tonight with the following report.
Mr. Chancellor, how are you?
President William Ruto began his China visit in Beijing on Wednesday by witnessing the signing of the investment agreements between Kenya and different Chinese companies. The firms involved are expected to inject much-needed capital into Kenya's economy, with a focus on youth employment and industrial development. Among the highlights, Zonken Group will invest 51.6 billion shillings in large-scale aloe vera cultivation and an export base in Baringo County. The project includes a vineyard construction for grape seedlings. Shandong and Jialegia Agriculture and Animal Husbandry Technology Company plans to invest 3.8 billion in a chicken farm in Kajiado County. The facility will include over 10,000 breeding birds and a feed factory. In tourism, Huashan Hotel Management, a first-time investor in Kenya, is set to lease the Hilton and Intercontinental hotels previously shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Their 2.9 billion investment aims to revive the hospitality industry. In manufacturing, China Wuyi Company plans to invest 19.3 billion Kenya shillings in a special economic zone for warehousing and manufacturing in Kikambala, Kilifi County. They've already acquired 191 acres for the project. Another company will establish manufacturing facilities for textiles, garments and solar power in Murang'a and Athi River, with an investment of 2.5 billion and 14.3 acres already secured in Machakos. The project is expected to create 7,000 jobs over the next decade. Among other deals, Kenya is also expected to sign a deal with China for the construction of a new foreign affairs headquarters. During a keynote address at Peking University, President Ruto challenged the effectiveness of the United Nations Security Council, suggesting that it is out of touch with modern global realities.
The Security Council, once a beacon of peace and diplomacy, now has one permanent member invading one country, while another member takes sides in conflict, in direct contradiction to the Council's own resolutions.
President Ruto's visit comes amid heightened global tensions between China and the United States. He is positioning Kenya as a neutral diplomatic bridge between the two global powers. He also highlighted growing collaboration between Kenya and China in education and technology, particularly in areas such as AI, biotechnology and the creative economy. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Tragedy struck a village in Ugunja, the county of Siaya, where a family of 9, a man, his wife and their 7 children, were wiped out in a suspected arson attack. Preliminary investigations show that the deceased family had been engaged in a land tussle with their neighbor, who is also a relative. Grief spiraled into vengeance, and angry villagers retaliated by burning down the house of the woman suspected to be behind the attack. As Mary Mwoki tells us in the following report, shock and devastation still hangs over Upande village in the county as investigators piece together what could have led to the horrific incident.
In the silent midnight darkness in Upanda village, flames lit up the night, not with warmth but with death. A family of 9 wiped out in an instant. Oma Opondo and his wife Fulchista Onyango and their 7 children aged between just 6 months and 17 years all gone. The futures of an entire family extinguished in flames. The air reeks of petrol and smoke. The house is a husk of ash and twisted metal. Scorched pots, a charred bed where some of the children slept and died, lie strewn across the ground. The items, relics of lives that were violently snuffed out in the dead of the night. Sylvester Omondi, who was sleeping in the next compound, says he woke up to thick fumes of smoke but was helpless to save the family.
Nilikuwa nimeamshwa na harufu ya petroli. Lakini kufika nilipata moto bado haikuwa imeenea sana, nikapiga nduru lakini watu hawakutokea. Walikuwa wamewasha moto kwa mlango na wakaongeza kifuli kwa mlango, hawangeweza kutoa kifuli. Sasa moto iliwazidi na wote wakakufa moja baada ya mwingine. Watoto wakilia na jina yangu kwa sababu mimi ndio wanakuanga karibu nao.
Kitu ambacho imetendeka siku ya leo hapa Sigomre tujawahi iona, na kwa hakika tuko na huzuni sana mpaka hata tuwezi kuongea maneno mingi.
Faces lined with anguish, women wailing uncontrollably, and men standing still. Their grief quiet but no less profound. A village thrown in mourning. Family and relatives who are still reeling from the shock of the tragedy that wiped out an entire lineage say the now deceased family had a long-running dispute over a piece of land with the family of the woman suspected of carrying out the attack. A court battle that was ruled in favor of the late Oma Opondo, and with the orders for the suspect to vacate immediately. A victory now drenched in blood.
Ilikuwa imefika wakati walikuwa kwenda polisi, baada ya kutoka kotini walikuwa wameamriwa kuwa wahamishe kutoka hapa hivi, na hofia kuwa ni hili jambo ndio limefanya hili lote litendeke.
In the raw heat of grief, rage erupted. The home of a woman suspected to be behind the attack was torched by angry villagers, the community executing justice their own way and seeking to avenge the family of Oma Opondo. An act of vengeance that has deepened the village's wounds and threatens to ignite a broader conflict.
Kweli ni kwamba kibui imepatikana hapo na kibuyu ya petroli. Na hiyo ni thibitisho kubwa kabisa, hiyo ni exhibit kabisa. Situation vile nimeona hapa, situation is tense. Anything can happen right now as we speak. Naweza sema kwamba serikali ikuje haraka iwezekanavyo.
The loss of 9 lives and the destruction of 2 homes have left this village on edge with fears of escalating conflict. Police have questioned several people of interest and arrested the woman suspected of the arson attack. Homicide detectives have launched investigations, but for now, Upanda village is united in sorrow. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
There was drama at Rongo Police Station in Migori County after 57 faithful of Melchior St. Joseph Missions of Messiah Africa Church refused to go home, insisting that they can only return to their church where 2 members reportedly perished after refusing to seek medical attention. The County Commissioner Mutua Kielu revealing that there were registration anomalies while setting up the facility, which remains cordoned off by authorities undertaking investigations amid reports of cult-like activities associated with the church.
57 congregants of the Melchior St. Joseph Missions of Messiah Africa Church are spending the night at the Rongo Police Station for the 2nd successive night. The faithful have refused to go home, insisting they will only know of one residence, Melchior St. Joseph Missions of Messiah Africa Church in Rongo, Migori County.
If you talk to them, they would rather be together and die together.
The standoff causing 8 children to be transferred to nearby rescue centers.
We are going now to use the law that correctly expresses what they are doing, because they have gone beyond the radicalization.
As the 57 members who also refused to be medically examined on Tuesday stay put, some residents went to search for the missing kin who they say have been separated from their families for close to a decade since being recruited at Melchior St. Joseph's Missions of Messiah Africa Church.
Waliomba wakaomba mpaka ikafika wakati Otieno Toyo na Anyango mke wake wakapeana mwanao wa kwanza kiume kama msaada kwa kanisa hiyo. Bado tulikuwa tunatafuta polepole sababu hatujaona kaburi chake na hatujaona dalili yoyote ya kuonyesha kwamba alikufa.
Ananiambia yeye ako kanisani anaomba. Sasa nashindwa, najiuliza. Sasa hiyo ni Jerusalem gani yenye wako hapo? Yenye iko hapo?
Nilipoteza mtoto wangu 2017. Sijapata mtoto. Nilikaa mwaka mmoja kama sijapata mtoto. Nikapata Dalmas Otieno kama alichukua mtoto wangu. Wakanyidoto.
St. Joseph Missions of Messiah Africa Church remains shut, with police patrolling its surroundings after bodies of 2 members who reportedly perished due to sickness were found. It has also emerged that the registration procedures used to set up Melchior St. Joseph Missions of Messiah Africa Church were altered.
The church is not registered because the certificate we got was a Company Act incorporation, which we can share with the media. That means that either by, and we can't assume that it was just by coincidence, somebody must have known what they are doing. They not register a society, they register as a company. A company has to have articles of association. We must know the directors are. So we are pursuing all those grounds.
No arrests have been made so far in relation to the deaths which reportedly occurred inside the church premises, amid fears that this could turn out to be a replica of the Shakahola findings. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Health Cabinet Secretary Adan Duale has appointed a 13-member committee to investigate allegations of illegal organ trafficking at the Medill Group of hospitals. The committee, to be led by Professor Elizabeth Bukusi, is also expected to probe non-compliant tissue and organ transplant services offered within healthcare facilities in the country. The appointment comes even as Medill founder Swarup Mishra denied allegations that his facility had been involved in organ trafficking. Here's Gatete Njoroge.
A week after announcing a fresh probe into allegations of organ trafficking at Medill Group of Hospitals, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale has appointed a 13-member committee that will oversee the process, expected to be complete within 3 months. A Gazette notice by CS Duale indicates that Professor Elizabeth Bukusi will chair the Independent Investigative Committee on Tissue and Organ Transplant Services, which brings together medical practitioners, scholars and regulatory bodies. The team has been directed to, among other things, investigate allegations of illegal organ transplant and organ trafficking at Medill. By talking to medical professionals involved in the process, donors and recipients over the last 5 years, the team is expected to determine whether there were instances of commercialization, coercion, organ trafficking, or violations of the Human Tissue Act. Their mandate will also include probing all facilities offering transplant services to establish the status of compliance.
We will take appropriate action.
But even as the health CS puts his best foot forward to deal with a challenge that is a source of sleepless nights to hundreds of families in Uasin Gishu County, the hospital on the spot continues to claim nothing is amiss. Medill Group of Hospitals founder Swarup Mishra says the allegations are unfounded and that he will fight them off through the second public audit.
We are not involved in any trafficking. We are not involved in any syndication, syndicate, and we are not involved in any criminal enterprise related to the issues of kidney transplants.
The hospital, which puts the number of transplants conducted over the last 7 years at 476, says out of this number, 105 were foreigners and has denied findings of a 2023 probe that there was no translation, despite cases of donors and recipients being of different nationalities.
In the affidavits to the donors, we have made sure that they confirm that they have understood the legal provisions that exist in relation to donation, and we've made sure also that it indicates that they have the liberty and the choice to withdraw even at the last minute before the life.
On the findings that transplants were conducted despite poor HLA donor recipients cross-match results, Mishra says they used high technology and ensured that those who received their kidneys did not have any reactions.
We did the level 4. That is not only cross-matching, HLA typing, but genetic mapping. So gene to gene, so rejection is 0.
We have no cases reported to us of any complications either in terms of the donors or in terms of the recipients.
Mishra insists that the facility, which charges between 4.5 and 3.2 million shillings, did not offer donors cash to give their kidneys, as alleged by some of the victims. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Members of the public have begun viewing the body of the late Pope Francis as it lies in state at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican ahead of his burial on Saturday. The body of the late pontiff was transferred to the iconic church from his residence for the start of the 3 days of public mourning and viewing.
With quiet strength, the papal gentlemen, 14 in number, bore the mortal remains of Pope Francis, encased in an open coffin shoulder high, from the Santa Marta residence where he lived for 12 years within the Vatican walls to the St. Peter's Basilica. Along that short walk, the casket was escorted by cardinals outstanding in their red hats, bishops, friars carrying candles, and Swiss guards in their full uniforms. The procession was also flanked by nearly 20,000 faithful and pilgrims who had started streaming into the St. Peter's Square early morning. As the casket passed, they applauded, in keeping with the Italian tradition of mourning and acknowledging the death of a loved one. The applause broken only by the voices of male choir chanting psalms as the body of the late pontiff made its way into the historic and iconic basilica. In inside the church, the pallbearers gently and carefully placed the casket onto the people altar, and here once again, members of the Swiss Guard took their positions, guarding the coffin of the late Pope as hymns were sung by a choir at St. Peter's Basilica. Shortly after, the cardinals and other members of clergy attended a service before paying their tributes to the late pontiff. And soon, it was time for the thousands of pilgrims and faithful to enter the basilica that had been opened to the public. One by one, they filed by the coffin, the solemnity of the moment they were witnessing not lost on them, some taking the memories of the event with them in photos and videos.
We were meant to have an audience with him today, and we will do, but not in the way that we expected.
Pray, I think, and then I pray. This is the only thing we can do.
Pope Francis died on Monday from stroke and cardiocirculatory collapse, moments after delighting the public while appearing for Mass on Sunday. His body will lie in state at the St. Peter's Basilica, allowing faithful to pay their last respects for the next 3 days. He will be buried at the St. Mary Major Chapel, his preferred and cherished place, instead of the grottos of St. Peter's Basilica, where hundreds of his predecessors are buried. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
County governments are yet again on the spot for gobbling billions of shillings on salaries and allowances at the expense of development. A report compiled by the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget by the County Public Accounts Committee shows that majority of the counties are paying more than 50% of their revenue to salaries and allowances. Here's Stephen Leto with that report.
The Public Finance Management Act 2012 prescribes what percentage of the county government's total revenue should be spent on wages and allowances and what should be used on development. Under the Act, expenditure on both the Executive and the County Assembly should not exceed 35% of the total county revenue. However, this is not the case in most counties as the wage bill continues to rise. The wage bill in Kisii County stands at 60% of the revenue, which means Governor Simba Arati is paying money meant for development to settle salaries and allowances of employees. Mombasa wage bill has also exceeded the 35% mark and stands at 57%, with Nyeri, Elgeyo Marakwet and Laikipia counties all recording a wage bill of 55%, way above the set limit. Governor Zirungu Kangata of Muranga and Gladys Wanga of Homa Bay are equally grappling with a wage bill that has hit 54% and 53% respectively. Nyamira and Taita Taveta have recorded a wage bill above 50%, exceeding the ceiling. Kisumu, Machakos, Kericho and Bomet are also among counties that have recorded a wage bill way above the required limit. The Controller of Budget and the Auditor General report has however listed Narok County, Nakuru, Kwale, Siaya and Turkana as counties that met the required wage bill limit. According to the Moses Kajwang-led County Public Accounts Committee, counties that are paying more on salaries and allowances have little left for development and wants governors to comply with the PFM Act. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Former Migori County Governor Okoth Obado has defended himself in court, denying any involvement in the murder of Rongo University student Sharon Otieno. Obado said his relationship with Sharon wasn't a secret affair and he had informed his wife and apologized to her before Sharon's death. He recounted a meeting where his wife proposed giving Sharon a house, an offer he declined, insisting that he had no plans to marry her as a second wife and was not party to her murder. Willie Lusige was there for us.
Former Migori Governor Okoth Obado has sought to clear his name in the ongoing case linking him to the murder of university student Sharon Otieno, for which he was earlier found to have a case to answer. On Wednesday, Obado told the court that he was transparent about his affair with Sharon, had confessed to his wife, and had already taken steps to end it before Sharon's tragic death. He revealed that he admitted to the affair, apologized to his wife, and assured her the relationship was over.
I agreed that I would be channeling my assistance through Mona.
and that was being done. Even though we had terminated the relationship, but I was still assisting.
In a surprising revelation, the former governor also detailed a private boardroom meeting where he found his wife, a journalist identified as XYZ, and a man named Lawrence Muller. His wife offered to give Sharon one of their houses, a gesture he declined, insisting he had no intention of marrying a second wife.
Sharon's proposal.
He advised instead that he will support Sharon by buying her land in Homa Bay and building her a house. However, the challenge was that Sharon wanted a house in either Kisumu or Nairobi.
So I asked Mola to go and relay to her that it would be much more easier for her to be settled around Homa Bay, not in town but just around Homa Bay. And even a proposal of buying land and building maybe a house of 3-bedroom house that would cost around 3 million.
According to Obado, Sharon agreed to move into a rental house while waiting for a house to be built, a transition that she was reportedly comfortable with.
My lady, there was a proposal that was brought to me by Mo to move from my mother's house as we await for the house that was to be constructed. That she had now accepted.
He further revealed that Sharon's pregnancy-related health issues were discussed and he promised to support her through Mola. He also arranged for her to have a medical cover.
It was coming from who? From me, of course. From you to Sharon.
Obado and his co-accused will carry on with their defense against murder charges that carry a possible death sentence. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, Willie, thanks so much for that. On another note, time to take a break.
After the break?
Plenty more. We've got business news, we've got sports news, we've got Governor... They call him Dimples out there. They call him Dimples. It's not me who coined it. It's going to be a good show, folks. Send us your questions and comments at Koinange Chef.
At Ayub Abdikadir.
At Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back. In the meantime, coming up. Search for IEBC Commissioner. 6 more candidates appear before the selection panel as the interviews enter the final stretch.
Welcome back. Time for business news. Players drawn from the financial sector and agriculture have today unveiled the Sustainability Reporting Framework, which aims to guide how financial institutions report their contributions towards environmental conservation, social well-being and good governance. According to the Kenya Bankers Association, the launch of the framework further establishes general requirements to have all the institutions to disclose sustainability-related risks and opportunities that could affect a bank's financial position, a performance or prospect. And as Jimmy Mbogo tells us in the following report, this has been cited as a critical step in mitigating climate-related risks.
It is a framework that is expected to act as a compass for the financial sector in ensuring that they adhere to the International Financial Reporting Standards IFRS S1 and S2. The standards which set requirements for disclosing sustainability-related financial information as well as focusing on climate-related disclosures. According to the Kenya Bankers Association CEO Raymond Mulenje, the framework will equip banks with detailed information to better serve their customers by understanding their risk.
We are just being able to prepare the ground for the industry and even prepare our customers to ensure that before they regulatory environment becomes mandatory, we can be able to prepare ourselves so that come 2027, we are ready now to be able to be in business, not now to be constrained.
The launch of today's standards is really an opportunity for us to be more transparent about the information that's required to understand how green the financial sector is, what the risks are, and what the opportunities are.
Further, the guidelines are expected to give more information to lending institutions by allowing them to extend credit at an affordable rate, allowing credit flow to the private sector, as well as bringing uniformity in the banking sector reporting. This, the banks argue, will lead to the unlocking of entire value chains.
So we're looking at the whole ecosystem, defining it well so that we can also be able to document and get the right data. Because even when we say of financing to agriculture being less than 5%, we don't have the correct data. But now with this template, we'll have data to be able to speak exactly to what green financing means, the terms that are used within that ecosystem.
Kenya flour exporters who ship 99% of their produce have also claimed they face a dual crisis, both in financial instability and sustainability demands. With crops maturing in just 70 days, growers race against time to harvest and transport flowers globally, a practice that has made banks to deem them too risky for affordable loans. An issue that they say has had a ripple effect in their business. Moreover, changing consumer behavior, where buyers now demand eco-friendly flowers, has pushed exporters to measure carbon emission and adopt integrated pest management.
We need players to come in and look at how they can support us, especially as the bankers, look at them. Look at affordable credit that can go into some of this, developing some of these projects, some of these tools, and facilitating some of the reporting that we actually need.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Wonderful. And Kenya has unveiled a new plan aimed at expanding the country's footprint in the global markets. The Route to Market Strategy 2025-27, launched by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and the Danish Industries East Africa, outlines a roadmap that seeks to transform Kenya into a digitally equipped and a competitive exporter. Wamboi Wangoi has that report.
The Route to Market Strategy 2025 to 2027, which was developed by the Kenya Association of Manufacturers in collaboration with Danish Industries East Africa, seeks to place Kenya among top-tier exporters of value-added goods. The strategy focuses on 5 key pillars. This include expanding into new and underutilized markets, improving access to trade data, strengthening compliance with international standards, unlocking trade finance, and boosting value addition through industrial clusters and special economic zones.
We do not want to have fly-by-night exporters. You export today, you make good money, then the next order you cannot sustain. So we are talking about how do we promote sustainability.
The strategy also emphasizes on building local market confidence before scaling globally as part of a long-term export growth plan.
So we have to start by, first of all, enjoying our own products here, then take them to the region and to the global markets.
Officials say the strategy is timely as it will boost Africa's regional trade, which has been below global averages.
Intra-Europe trade is 70%. Intra-Africa trade, an African trading with another one, is 15%. You're doing 85% of your trade with somebody else. And all indications are that we are close to the bottom. So we sign very good agreements, but still put other non-tariff barriers. So we are not making progress.
The Route to Market strategy is expected to guide Kenya's export sector over the next 3 years, anchoring industrial growth on innovation, digital tools, and regional trade integration. Wamboi Wangoi, Citizen TV.
The introduction of BT cotton farming in the county of Lamu is doing more than transforming agriculture. It's also breathing new life into the region's fragile marine environment. For years, pesticide runoff from conventional cotton farming has polluted coastal waters, threatening marine life or aquatic and depleting fish stocks that local communities rely on. But now, with the adoption of BT cotton, farmers are witnessing a revival of ecosystems and clean waters, benefiting both their livelihoods and nature. Dennis Otieno reports in this week's Smart Farm.
a boat ride on the Indian Ocean in Lamu. Fishermen here are smiling once again as the county's marine life begins to thrive. This transformation is emanating all the way from the cotton fields of Lamu. In the semi-arid lands of Mpeketoni, small-scale farmers like Peter Kinywa have embraced BT cotton farming, with ripple effects reaching all the way to the ocean.
BT cotton tumeanza kupanda kwa kama miaka minne ambayo imepita, na tumeona hii variety ikiwa nzuri sana kwetu kwa sababu ya kwanza inakinga kwa wadudu kama hawa bollworm. Alafu pia haihitaji dawa kwa wingi sana kama ile pamba ya zamani. Pia inastahimili hali ya anga vizuri.
BT cotton, a genetically modified crop designed to resist the destructive bollworm pest, has significantly reduced the need for chemical pesticides. This innovation is helping farmers control pests without excessive use of harmful chemicals, which would otherwise leach into water bodies, polluting them and endangering marine life.
Inatusaidia kwa sababu katika ile madhara tunaona samaki wanaendelea vizuri, na pia hata sisi wenyewe pia tunaona ina manufaa kwa sababu hatuna na hiyo kupiga dawa sana, kwa sababu tunapopiga tunachoka na pia hata madhara mengine.
Lamu's marine ecosystem, home to coral reefs, mangroves, and diverse fish species, has long been under threat from agricultural runoff. Pesticide residues in the water disrupt biodiversity, harming aquatic life and the livelihoods of local fishermen. But with BT cotton, the tide is turning. Cleaner waterways and rejuvenated fish stocks are signaling a welcome change.
That means the chemical load that goes into the ocean reduces. The impact of agrochemicals on marine ecosystem is so immense because it destabilizes the corals, it destabilizes the algae that the animals feed, and deposits a lot of residue, chemical residue in the ocean, impacting marine life, and ultimately also because if the fishes that feed on algae and the reefs are loaded with chemicals and or are affected or reduced, it will impact the marine life in general. So the use of BT goes far beyond the farmer. It's actually a technology that is needed today to combat the impact of climate change and also stabilize the impact of agrochemicals on marine life.
The African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF, a non-profit organization focused on transferring technology to smallholder farmers, is leading efforts to promote sustainable farming in the region. Cleaner waters aren't just helping fishermen. They are also a boon to Lamu's tourism sector. Eco-conscious travelers are drawn to destinations with a commitment to sustainability, and Lamu's rare marine biodiversity, including unique fish and coral species, is becoming a magnet for visitors, helping to further strengthen the local economy.
Then the most important in the coastal region is that as farmers use more chemicals, more agrochemicals in their fields, there is what is called surface runoff. When it rains, water collects from the farms and then it drains into the ocean. Now, with less use of chemicals, because the data that we have is that farmers used to do up to 12, 15 sprays. But now with the use of BT cotton, they only do maximum of 3 or 4 on other pests other than the bollworm.
As more farmers in Lamu shift to BT cotton and sustainable practices, the region is on a promising path, one where both the land and sea are protected, ensuring a resilient future. In the years to come, Lamu's success story with BT cotton could become a model for other coastal communities where agriculture's environmental footprint is reduced and marine ecosystems are given the chance to thrive once again. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farmer.
Sports and the Kenya Police Bullets extended their lead at the summit of FKF Womens Premier League after a slim 1-0 win in Bungoma County. In another encounter, Ulinzi's Tallets defeated Kibra Soccer Ladies by the same margin at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Nairobi to move to second position, just 3 points adrift of the leaders. Harambee Tallets midfielder Fasila Adhiambo scored for the Soldiers in the 47th minute. Joy Kinglady missed from the spot in the stoppage time to deny Ulinzi a crucial win. In other results, Trinity Starlets edged Mombasa Olympic 1-0 at home, while Vihiga Queens thrashed Kisumu All Starlets 4-2. The national under-17 women's football team, Junior Starlets, has touched down in Yaoundé, Cameroon, ahead of the second leg of the third and the final round of the 2025 FIFA Women's World Cup qualifier against the hosts. The team departed this morning confident of overturning a narrow first-leg defeat. Before their departure, the team was visited at the camp by Sports Principal Secretary Elijah Mwangi, who conveyed best wishes ahead of the crucial clash in Cameroon. The Junior Starlets lost 1-0 to Cameroon on Sunday at the Nyayo National Stadium and will need to win away to book a second consecutive World Cup ticket following the historic debut in the Dominican Republic last year. The decisive showdown will be played this Friday at the Olembe Stadium in the capital, Yaoundé.
Individually, for these young girls, they have shown resilience. Having reached this level, it is a matter of determination. So to them, it is an achievement. And for us, in the sport ministry, we are supporting all the discipline. We want sports in this country to be to the level whereby it can be the leading in this region.
The National Visually Impaired Powerlifting team has intensified its training at the Nyayo Gymnasium in Nairobi, sharpening their edge ahead of the World Para Powerlifting Championship slated for May in Kazakhstan. The 13-member mixed squad is aimed at surpassing the toll of medal haul won last year from the same competition. The athletes are also urging persons with disabilities to embrace sports as a gateway to transformation. They have also in the meanwhile appealed to partners and stakeholders for support to extend their training beyond the scheduled 7-day camp.
Tumekuwa tukijikaza, tunatia bidii, tukifanya mazoezi yetu kwa sababu ya zile goals tumeweka. Tunataka kuleta gold, silver and bronzes katika taifa letu.
Government has really supported us because in any time that we have a competition, you will find there is camping. We do camping whereby we can stay in the same place. And from there, we can be able to practice well without having to go through the challenge of transportation and all that.
Kuangalia mbele. Tunakuaga na Blind Olympics. Ndio tunataka twende tufuzu hiyo. Na matarajio yangu sana ni kupata medali mingi. Kila mtu azoe medali kushinda hapo awali.
You know, this is one of the very, very short times that the news has ended around 10 o'clock. I don't know what's going on.
It's 2 minutes past the top of the hour.
Look at that.
And certainly paves the way for a very wonderful conversation.
Yep. I'm sure Governor Dimples knew that the news would end at 10.
At 10.
In fact, let me cross over. Thanks, Ayub. We'll see you later.
Jeff.
How you doing, brother?
Salama.
Good to see you.
How are you?
How's everything?
Salama.
Are the dimples on the left or the right side?
I don't know. But Jeff,
tell me.
Your sports news.
Yes.
Why are you not talking about the Nairobi Super League? The National Super League. My team, Nairobi United.
What did you play today?
Top of the table, played today. Scored 1-0 against Migori Youth. Michael Karamor, assisted by Brian Oyugi, scored it. We're at the top of the table, and my team is going to join the Premier League.
Premier League.
Yes.
Because
you add those things.
Ah, yeah. Monica mekusikiza.
I hope. Monica amesikia.
Amesikia.
How you doing, bro?
Very good. Yourself?
Salama.
You're just literally back from London.
Yes, I was in London last week.
Benchmarking or what was the?
No. We stopped benchmarking. It's actual meetings. We have a few projects we're doing with London, with the British government. Railway City is one of those. And and went to King's Cross Station. We met with the authorities there. There's a whole redevelopment of the land where the railway headquarters is. The British government is doing the station headquarters. And we want to deal with mass transit, so that is really big for us. I had a meeting with the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who's a good friend, but also I deputize him at the C40 cities, which is a network of more than 100 cities across the world on matters climate change and environment. And we had good discussions, Spaces for London. I spoke to him about Nairobi Vision 2050 and how we can partner. And it was really great. Yeah, so I was there for a few days and got back for Easter. Went to the village a little bit, and I'm back.
Nice.
Yeah.
You had time for all of that?
You have to make time.
All right, while you were gone, someone was murdered in your county. I want to take a break, come back, and just clear the air. How's that? Don't get pissed off, it's okay. Usikasirike. At Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. Stay tuned, better yet, sit back. This is gonna be a good one. JKLive takes a break, we'll be back in a moment.